Hey, welcome back to Score on Business. Remember, scorenashville.org. So, Melinda, one thing I've come to realize is that branding is not marketing, and it's not a lot of different things. A lot of companies have branding services part of their suite of offerings.
They do.
But how can a prospective customer determine whether a vendor really can do it?
Well, I think if you recognize that you don't have definition around your brand, your first step ought to be to go to a company who primarily sells brand strategy or brand development services. But often what happens is someone says, oh, we need a new website. Let's go get a website built. And so they come to the website builder, or they go to someone to shoot video or someone to design a logo. And that vendor is kind of forced to kind of help them figure out what their brand is. And that can work for a very small company for a short term, but in terms of a substantial company that's in growth mode, what they really need is they need a doctor, not a knee surgeon or an eye specialist. They need someone who looks at the whole picture. And so one thing you could say to your potential vendor is would you like to see my brand guide or my brand book? And if they don't know what that is, they probably are just simply going to ask you what color you like best for your logo. So you really want someone with the expertise to ask those questions in the beginning to see if you have the tools to give them to help them execute on that marketing piece. Successfully.
And maybe even ask them, you know, how much of your time in the services you offer is specifically
geared
devoted
toward the
branding,
the brand specification. Yes.
So can you either give us an example or tell us without an example? You go in and you meet with a company. They've been, you know, they're starting to do pretty well. They really didn't know that much about brand. What are some of the first things you're going to be suggesting?
Well, first thing we do is we do a clarity, and that's where we assess everything they have. And so we ask them for things like, do you have a mission statement and a vision statement? Do you have values established? Do you have a positioning statement written? Who are your competitors? And all too often they'll say, oh, well, we're really special. There's nobody really like us. But everybody has competitors. So being able to look at that environment is really important. And then most of all, tell us about your customer. What do you know? The customer now that you have, where you have some equity built up, and the customer you want to have. And so we're able from those questions to then begin the process of filling in the gaps and helping define that unique solution that they offer to someone's need, and then to help them be able to talk about it. And so it's very important that they understand that it's not just a tagline. You know, all we need is a new slogan and we'll be able to be successful. You really need to understand that full picture.
And I get when you're working on the brand, is differentiation one of the things you do?
Absolutely, you have to. That's the positioning piece. And so to do that, we actually do a very full competitive analysis. Whether they give us the names or not, we go out and find out who is competing for their customers. We know a little bit about who they think their customer is and what they offer, and then we look at that competitive landscape. And then we do a complete analysis of, you know, here's their positioning statement, here's their mission, here's and how does that check the box, and where are the opportunities for you to step forward and be unique and answer it like no one else does.
And I like when you said that everybody has competitors, because everybody does.
Absolutely.
And if you know, you have to really be able to think about what makes you different.
You have to. And be able to talk about it. Not just feel it, not just believe it, but you really have to put the words down that are clear and compelling so that you can internalize it. And that's a huge part. Kurt was talking earlier about a lot of the pieces of brand that are part of culture. People need to live the brand, and we find that when people connect to a higher purpose in what they do, when it's not simply it's about selling shoes or it's selling air conditioners, but it really is about, you know, we are helping people improve their life. We're helping people survive against the cold. When they connect to that, companies across the board, research I just saw from Procter & Gamble's global marketing officer, said 400% increase in revenue with companies that connect to purpose.
Awesome. Hey, we are right up at the.
Okay.
So thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Score on Business, for what you do for businesses everywhere. We really
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll be back next week. Remember, scorenashville.org.